I shot Sergeant Gibson.
You shot Sergeant Gibson?
Yes.
How did you do that?
Let me see. Sergeant
This
Gibson.
has got to be the worst dispatch in America. I'm sorry.
I don't know, man. They basically
What's shaking, everybody? Tell a friend that it's him again. J King, the one, J King, host of We Just Here for the Crazy, back with another crazy video. So check this out. We got a cop that calls 911 on himself because apparently he popped one of his own. So let's see what he's talking about. At least see what he's reasoning for. Hope he had a good reason. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys on the other side of the video. One.
What does that mean? What, your badge number is 35?
You don't know your badge number?
Yes. I shot Sergeant Gibson.
What?
I shot Sergeant Gibson.
Yo.
City County police officer Michael Rusk called 911 after he allegedly shot his superior officer, Sergeant Christopher Gibson, outside a Williamsburg bar.
You can't be
Someone doing
serious.
CPR.
Please, start CPR. Start CPR.
If you a trained professional, I thought well, I guess because he shot him, he ain't gonna be the one doing CPR. He too freaked out. But damn,
The officer there?
I hope you had a good reason, bro.
Then you'll see Gibson move in to sit next to Rusk. Gibson reaches for Rusk's hand under the table, which seems to be met with hesitation from the younger officer. After Gibson puts his hand on Rusk's shoulder, you see Rusk forcefully push him off and put a finger in his face before walking away.
Hold up. So you mean to tell me that this superior officer, it looks from the looks of it, that this dude looked like he was trying to cut, he's like kind of coming on to him. You know what I'm saying? He's getting a little handsy, like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like he was a female or something. So that tells me so far that one of these dudes is into guys and the other one is either not into guys or he is into guys and he's just not into, you know what I'm saying? He's just not into him. Shouts out to all y'all, you know what I'm saying? Y'all brothers out there. Do your thing. No issues with y'all. I ain't got no problem with y'all. You know what I mean? Do your thing. Congratulations. But this right here, this seems a little, this looks crazy. Yeah, it does look creepy.
His son told him about unwanted attention he got from his superior officer and that he had reported it to others on the force.
They're basically me.
Is he breathing?
He gets so loud. I'm
Okay.
trying.
I haven't watched this video either, so this is authentic reaction.
Against the vehicle. I remember his warm breath. I remember the stippling of his beard on my neck. My life is in danger. This guy is attacking me.
Wow. You know what's crazy? You know, things like this happen a lot more time than people think to a lot of men. But most men, they say don't report these things. So, you know, people that do like the numbers, you'll never really know the exact numbers. But a lot of men get caught in situations just like this. For real, for real.
We finally have an update and conclusion in the criminal case against Officer Michael Rusk. If you remember from my last video about Officer Rusk, he was facing more than 20 years in prison after a night out drinking with his supervising officer, Sergeant Christopher Gibson, went sideways. And that night would end with Sergeant Gibson being shot multiple times by Officer Rusk. Now, at first, this incident was fed to the public as a night out drinking between two cops that had just gone too far. But that was until Officer Rusk began telling his side of the story.
I know the truth. I was there that night. You can see in the video footage, you know, where he reached
can't
out
be
the table,
serious.
trying to grab my hand.
A story of desperation, stalking, and harassment at the hands of his supervising officer for over a year. Officer Rusk claims he had no choice but to open fire on Sergeant.
Yo, what would possess him to even come on to this young cat? To, what would give him this impression that he might even be remotely interested in this?
Because he was being attacked and assaulted by the sergeant. And we're not just talking about the fighting kind of attack and assault, if you catch my drift. Now, of course, there is a lot more to the story. So, to better understand the conclusion in this case, why don't we go back to the beginning?
Word, because this is bugged out. A cop on cop. I know there's cops out there that like that, you know. They like that, you know. They like that brother on brother. Hey, you know, hey, that's what's up. More power to y'all. No issue. But damn, like you just go around just throwing yourselves on people. Like, what's the deal?
This story begins in January of 2020. Rookie police officer Michael Rusk began his law enforcement career at the Newport News Police Department, which is in the state of Virginia. From what I can find, Michael was also enlisted in the U.S. Army Reserves around this time, where he served for about 6 years. Now, as a rookie, Michael would gain some useful law enforcement experience working his first 2 years at the Newport News Police Department before applying at the James City County Police Department and accepting a position in February of 2021. Now, at first, everything seemed to be going great for Michael. He's in his young 20s, he has a great job with good benefits, room for advancement. The sky was the limit. But unfortunately for Michael, that feeling didn't last for long. Beginning in December of 2021, the same year that Michael was hired on at the James City County Police Department, spanning all the way up until January of 2023, Officer Michael Rusk states he experienced relentless stalking, harassment, and unwanted physical touching at the hands of his supervising officer, Sergeant Christopher Gibson.
So you mean to tell me for 2 years? So like 2 years, this dude coming to work basically every day, getting hit on, sexually harassed and hit on by his superior officer who happens to be a man? Yo, like what the, yo, oh my gosh, yo, you can't be serious.
Heard both on and off duty, and these incidents of harassment only seem to escalate over time. Michael would go on to state the unwanted advances from his sergeant were relentless. Some of the harassing behavior that Michael experienced that he would go on to later outline in this federal lawsuit, Sergeant Gibson would engage in inappropriate conduct, which included unwanted hand-holding, touching and slapping of Officer Rusk's backside, stalking, grooming, and wildly inappropriate comments both in person and through text messages. Sergeant Gibson would essentially go on to stalk Officer Michael Rusk 24/7, both on and off duty. And it kind of makes you think, how does Sergeant Gibson stalk Officer Rusk off duty? This right here.
A search warrant obtained by 10 on Your Side says Rusk told officers on the night of the shooting that the two officers got into a fight over tracking software on Rusk's phone. Gibson wanted access to Rusk's location, and when Rusk refused, he told officers that Gibson got angry.
So he was tracking him, and oh my God, yo. This dude was desperate, creepy, and this dude carries a badge, yo. And you really think that this is the first person that he did this to? And I remind him, saying, now mind you, this is somebody he worked with. This is another guy carrying a badge that he did this to. You really think that he the first person that he did this to, or the only person? Come on now.
Rusk's father says he witnessed Gibson seemingly following Michael before this.
He would just show up out of nowhere, or he'd say, "I see you're hanging out with so and so again." I was like, how could he have known that?
Following a life-altering event for Officer Michael Rusk in September of 2022, both Sergeant Gibson and Officer Rusk downloaded the app Life 360 on their cell phone and added each other as friends. From what I can understand, once Life 360 is downloaded on your phone, what it does is it tracks and shares your geographical location with the other approved users in real time. Now, Officer Rusk states him and some of his fellow officers from his previous department used this app to track each other during the day in case something happened and one of the officers couldn't get to their radio. They would.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, why would this man need to track you off duty? Like, what? I mean, I'm not understanding. So, know
where their fellow officers were on duty at all times. Officer Rusk described this app as a safety net. However, you can obviously see where this is going.
Yeah,
Officer Rusk states within a short time of downloading this app on their phones, Sergeant Gibson began using the Life 360 app maliciously for other than its intended use. Sergeant Gibson would go on to use this app to track Officer Rusk both on and off duty, to show up unannounced at places like his home and his friend's house. Now, I want you to imagine if your boss just randomly started showing up at places like your friend's house when you weren't at work. You would be like, what the f***? Corporate would immediately be getting a phone call. But I digress. Now, obviously, Michael would quickly realize that downloading this app like 360 and sharing it with Sergeant Gibson was a horrible idea. So Officer Rusk deleted that app off of his personal phone. However, He left it on his work phone, and Michael would go on to state that he left the Life 360 app on his work phone in an effort to appease Sergeant Gibson.
Ain't no escaping this dude.
Deleting that app off of his personal phone was going to create a huge problem with Sergeant Gibson because it was going to make stalking him off duty a little more difficult. He states that Sergeant Gibson later flew into a rage when he found out about it. Sergeant Gibson wanted to know where Michael was at all times. Now,
this sergeant really wanted that young boy's. He wanted that backside. He wanted that brown round. I mean, seriously, like what the? Because you knew he wasn't being receptive to all the patting it on, and slapping on the ass and all that. But you said they dealing with this. Like I don't understand that. You a grown man just like he is. If you don't like it, like yo man, don't, you know what I'm saying? Yo, you squabble up, man. Punch him in his face. Like do something, bro. Like you know what I'm saying? Like if you really. Yo, I don't understand you dudes, man. You got dudes out here doing this to y'all, and y'all still coming to work every day. Diddy with the whole little rod and all that, and like cats still coming to work, and they accusing him of doing all this craziness, and everybody still coming to work. And then you got this sergeant. It's in there, this young, impressionable. You know what I'm saying? He not a rookie, but you know he ain't got no real time on the force. But you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man, like. This dude just want to do his job. He just want to catch some criminals, try to make the streets safe or whatever. Go home, boom, go about his business. You out here patting them on the butt and stalking them and all that. What they teach? Do they teach you that they can't be or something? Like, come on, dude. Is that like an old school, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, police tactic that you trying to impress on this little dude or something? Like, come on, man.
The James City County Police Department allowed its officers to take their patrol cars home at night, which included Officer Rusk. And Sergeant Gibson would allegedly go on to use this as just another tool to stalk Officer Rusk.
There's no escaping this dude.
Cars is tracking software. Tracking software that's accessible by the supervisors at the department, including Sergeant Gibson. So this was just essentially an extension of that Life 360 app. Now, Officer Rusk would later go on to state that he would sometimes break department policy and disable that tracking software because he didn't want Sergeant Gibson showing up at his location. It got that bad. Now, if you understand the social structure at a police department and also the blue wall of silence, you can see how this situation put Michael in a very difficult spot. And that's because Officer Rusk's supervisor, Sergeant Gibson, also the one harassing him, is literally in charge of everything over Officer Rusk. From getting special duty assignments, like sitting on a construction site, getting double the pay, or doing absolutely nothing, to getting on special units, like the SWAT team or the dive team.
Chris was his only avenue to special teams. He was in the perfect position to take example of an extremely young, fledgling adult.
Sergeant Gibson was also in control of Officer Rusk's upward trajectory at the department, like promotions and raises.
You think this praise and these recommendations that he was writing, were they leverage?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100.
Yo, don't he look like that guy? He looked like that British English actor. Look, so he played what was that? Boardwalk Empire. He played Al Capone. If y'all know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? I can't remember his name, but it's Boardwalk Empire. He played Al Capone. He looked just like this dude.
And the sergeant was even in charge of the small things over Officer Rusk, like the calls he was dispatched while on duty and the zone he worked in for his shift. Officer Rusk would later state in his lawsuit that Sergeant Gibson would repeatedly assign Officer Rusk to his zone, Zone 1, where the sergeant's office was. And he did this to further his attempts to stalk Officer Rusk. And finally, Sergeant Gibson was in charge of any disciplinary action that Officer Rusk might receive.
Yo, I'm sorry, but look, I know I keep stopping, but look, I just gotta ask, like, what is it? Like, what is it specifically? Was it the fact that, like they said, you want what, like that old adage, you want what you can't have? So was it that the guy, like, he knew his advances wasn't getting nowhere with him, that's why he kept pressing so hard? I mean, what is it about this specific guy that he's going through all of this, risking his career, his freedom? Maybe he has a family, maybe whatever. Like, he's risking everything. He can ready to throw his whole career. He's a top dog at the police. He's really throwing all the way for this young dude. I don't understand it. You're like, What is it about this
The
dude
Rusk
specifically?
rightfully so feared retaliation because the person that was harassing and stalking him was the same person that was going to discipline him at the department. Officer Rusk was in a no-win situation.
Can't win for lose,
Sergeant
yeah.
Gibson
Can't win
controlled
for lose.
Officer Rusk's entire existence at the James City County Police Department. There was one part in Michael's lawsuit that I read. While on duty, he would invite other officers to spend lunch with him just so he didn't have to spend his lunch alone with Sergeant Gibson because he knew he was going to show up on his lunch break. What the f***? Now, also outlined in Officer Rusk's lawsuit was the barrage of constant harassing text messages that he would receive from Sergeant Gibson. 124 pages of text messages to be exact. And this is what some of those text messages look like.
Just a reminder that you're really attractive, and Mikey coming to what? Mikey coming to daddy? Mike ? Mikey not? What? Yo, you can't be serious. And this is crazy because women go through shit like this, but you don't never you don't never really expect it. Like, you don't expect to hear this coming from like a man going through. It's like, you know what I'm saying? You usually, you mostly mostly used to women dealing with things like this, creepy, pervy dudes like this. You know what I'm saying? But for a man to have to go through this, oh man, this has got to be like really beyond just like anything like he could have ever fathomed in his life.
Conditioned responses. Kind of one of those things like wanting to keep everything on an even keel, not wanting to rock the boat, so to speak. Again, Officer Rusk feared retaliation. Now, during the fall of 2022 into the winter of 2023, Officer Rusk states that the grooming and unwanted touching only increased from Sergeant Gibson, and that the harassment, both verbally and physically, that he was receiving was only getting worse. And this would all culminate and come to a head on the night of January 24th, 2023, the night of the shooting. Now, for reasons I have no idea why, but on this night, Sergeant Gibson and Officer Rusk got together off duty and went out for a night on the town, bar hopping, and obviously drinking.
Yeah, why would you even hang out with this dude? Why would you even go to a bar with him? Why would you even be seen with this dude and play? Like, come on, like, yo, don't y'all got like internal affairs and things of that nature, or the FBI, like somebody you can go to that can like help y'all out with this? Like, this is bugged out.
Brick House Tavern, the bar that the pair ended up at just after midnight, was the fourth bar that they had been to that evening. Officer Rusk would later say in an interview that they really didn't drink that much alcohol that evening.
Did you feel you were drunk?
No.
Did you feel that he was drunk?
No.
Okay, so you guys were both in command of your faculties.
Absolutely.
For all intents and purposes, they were sober. You can see in the security camera footage, that is Officer Michael Rusk and Sergeant Gibson sitting across from each other at the Brick House Tavern. Now, continuing to watch the footage, at one point you can see Sergeant Gibson get up from his seat and come around the table to seat himself directly next to Officer Rusk. Now,
my man getting comfy, boy. He really, Officer Rusk. I don't know what you said to this dude, or what kind of fantasies you done put in this dude head, boy. But he is on your ass.
But in that security camera footage, you can see that Sergeant Gibson, is having a hard time keeping his hands to himself.
Seriously?
Now, fast forward that security camera footage a little bit, moving to outside the Brick House Tavern, and that is Sergeant Gibson and Officer Rusk standing outside the bar, appearing to have a confrontation. You can see Sergeant Gibson moves in to put his hands on Officer Rusk, and Officer Rusk obviously responds by pushing Sergeant Gibson away. It's pretty clear he's telling the sergeant to back off. So after this confrontation out in front of the Brick House Tavern, Officer Rusk states he went out to his truck in the parking lot. However, he also states that Sergeant Gibson followed him out to his truck and proceeded to get into the passenger side of his vehicle. Here is Officer Michael Rusk in his first interview following that incident. I'll let him explain to you what happens next.
Rusk saw a woman there he recognized from high school. Rusk began texting with that woman at the bar.
I asked her if she wanted to go out that night, or to go hang out that night, because I was single at the time.
That's when Gibson got curious.
I'd come to my side of the table.
At that point, do you think it was jealousy?
Absolutely. You can see.
So he did all this way. He was texting a woman, and he you can't be serious. Like, yo, you.
In the video footage, where he was reaching under the table or trying to grab my hand,
because
he wanted to see who I was talking, see who I was trying to go home with.
Rusk went outside to his truck. Gibson got in the passenger seat.
He kept trying to grab me and touch me. Something I'm not very comfortable talking about. I will say that I was assaulted.
Rusk got out of the
You
truck, and
think?
so did Gibson, who was bigger than Rusk.
And so he grabbed my wrist and he had pinned me up against the vehicle.
So Officer Rusk states what happens next, that him and Sergeant Gibson sat in his truck for about an hour after that confrontation out in front of the Brick House Tavern. And that's...
Yo, so look, I'm not understanding you. I'm with you, Officer Russ. I'm trying to rock with you. But why do you keep putting yourself in this position? Why do you keep being alone with this dude? Now you go from the bar, y'all got to a confrontation. He's trying to fill you up like a joint, like he put dollar bills in your thong or something like that. And you gonna sit there and still sit in the car. This is like I'm starting to think that you like this attention, bro. Like I'm starting to think that, you know what I mean, you might be, you know what I mean, it might be
point an argument started
tickling your
over
fancy,
Officer Rusk
bro.
deleting that Life 360 app off of his phone. And the sergeant also got jealous over the fact that Officer Rusk was making plans to go hang out with another woman that evening. And this caused another confrontation between the two of them. Only this time, Officer Rusk states it got physical.
I remember his warm breath. I remember the stippling of his beard on my neck. Up here, and I felt it was his.
What?
Hey, Chris, I'm serious. Chris, stop. And that's when he had charged me. He grabbed.
I told him to stop. He kept going. I thought he was going to, ooh. So grape me. He thought he was gonna grape him. Oh, he thought he was gonna effing grape him. Ooh, ooh.
I'm serious, Chris, stop. And that's when he had charged me. He grabbed my gun and punched me in the face.
The gun went off.
What?
I immediately went into my life is in danger. This guy is attacking me.
So Rusk aimed at Gibson and shot him twice.
Oh, so he goes from trying to do something to your back. He want to do something to your backside. Then you telling him to stop. So he went for your gun. I don't know.
Officer Rusk would go on to state that he was assaulted by Sergeant Gibson in the parking lot. And again, not just the fighting kind of assault. Officer Rusk states that he was not only physically, but also assaulted by Sergeant Gibson that evening. He felt like he had no choice but to pull his firearm and defend himself. Officer Rusk wanted to fire multiple shots at Sergeant Gibson. From what I can gather, the sergeant was hit twice, once in the upper chest and once in the abdomen, and collapsed to the ground almost immediately after being hit by those shots. And we're back to where the video started, because what we know next is based on that 911 call Officer Rusk made after opening fire on Sergeant Gibson. Here is that 911 call in its entirety.
So they still at the bar.
Hello? Do what?
This is 35!
I'm sorry, I can't understand what you're saying.
This is 35!
This is 35?
Yes, go Sally!
You're at Paul's Deli?
Yes!
And this is 35?
Yes!
What does that mean?
Michael Rusk, my badge number!
You did what?
My badge number!
What, your badge number is 35?
Now, one thing I will say right off the bat, that dispatcher's a f***ing idiot. Having dealt with dispatchers for well over a decade, I think I'm qualified to say that dispatcher doesn't belong in that position. Or
Yeah,
any
either the
position dealing with
dispatcher
the public.
don't know what he's doing, or
Yes,
he don't know his
Michael Rusk.
badge number.
R-U-S-K!
And what's wrong?
I shot Sergeant Gibson!
You what?
I shot Sergeant Gibson!
You shot Sergeant Gibson?
Yes!
How did you do that?
Let me see, Sergeant Gibson.
This has got to be the worst dispatcher in America. I'm sorry.
I don't know, man. They basically
And you're in Paul's Deli?
yes, and she's Williamsburg!
Is he breathing?
Now you want to know if he's breathing?
I'm
Okay.
trying.
Okay, where did you shoot him?
I'm trying.
This is the absolute worst.
Right arm.
You shot him in his arm?
Yes!
I don't have much experience dealing with
And you're
dispatches.
inside. Okay, I need you to take a deep breath for me, okay? Is he breathing?
I couldn't
Is
imagine.
he breathing?
I'm trying to save his life.
Okay, take a deep breath, because if he isn't, we need to start CPR.
I'm trying.
Where are you at in Paul's Deli? Hey, where are you at in Paul's Deli?
I'm trying to start CPR.
How about you send an ambulance,
Okay,
bro?
where are you at?
One of you all, I need you to come over here, please.
Yo, you hear this I'm sorry, yo, this is got to be the stupidest dispatcher on, like, yo, to think that this person actually gets paid to do this. Like, you can't be serious. This man is telling you that he shot a cop. And you asking your entire delivery, your response is just completely just like this can't be protocol. This cannot be how you like the way you was trained. This can't be. I'm sorry. I refuse to believe.
I need you to come here, please.
And you're in Paul's Deli?
Come here. I need you to start CPR him. Boom, hurry. 30 suppressants and 2. Start CPR suppressants. 1.
Are you behind Paul's Deli?
5.
Now, you can hear in this 911 call, Officer Rusk didn't run. He not only called 911 to get Sergeant Gibson help, but he also rendered first aid. I think this goes to show that Officer Rusk is being truthful. How many people do you know hang around after they shoot somebody, call 911, and provide first aid?
Well, I mean, most people, like, this is a different type of situation. This is a cop-on-cop situation. But I get what you mean, though. But considering this is a cop-on-cop, I mean, just to be on some devil's advocate type shit, you know, that officer, whatever his name, the young dude, like, he is a cop. So if anybody knows how to cover up a crime, it's another cop.
Officer Rusk was being honest when he stated he feared for his life and had no choice but to open fire on the sergeant. He was merely trying to protect himself.
Keep going.
Is someone doing CPR?
What was that?
Is someone doing CPR?
Yes. Hey.
Where's the weapon?
CPR.
Where's the weapon?
Start CPR. Start CPR.
Who are you talking to?
This officer here. I have a gun on me. Here. You have it.
Is there an officer?
He's trying to give his gun away?
Hey.
Now he's trying to give his gun away.
I'm a deputy officer. Start shooting him. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you okay? Start on him. God damn it. Start on him, please. Start on him. Please start on him.
Hey, are they doing CPR, sir? Have they started? Hey, can you tell if he's breathing?
I can't tell. I can't tell.
This dude definitely wins best award for worst fucking dispatcher in the world. Like, seriously, he definitely wins that award.
Do you see the Waynesburg officers? Sir,
Yes.
do you see the officers?
Yes, they're on scene.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go. What's your name again?
Michael Rusk. USK. They're starting CPR.
How did you shoot him?
How do you think he shot him? Man, he's stupid. He definitely has to be somebody's kid or grandson on the department. There's no way that they would put somebody that stupid in the 911 dispatch.
I'm sorry, that dude definitely has a smooth brain. He really does.
Center. Because this is somebody that officers have to deal with all day on the radio.
What do you mean? Get up.
This dude definitely has a smooth brain.
Keep going.
He kept me down. I kept going.
I told him this is how he kept going.
Damn, son.
Help! Okay, I know an officer here. He's going.
I mean, just listen to the desperation in Officer Rusk's voice. I think this clearly points to the fact that he was telling the truth, that he felt like he had no choice but to defend himself. So what happens next is the Williamsburg Police Department and Fire Department arrive to the scene and provide first aid to Sergeant Gibson. Sergeant Christopher Gibson was transported to the local hospital in critical condition, having suffered those multiple gunshot wounds to the torso. And while it was touch and go for a little while, in the end, Sergeant Christopher Gibson would wind up surviving his injuries. Now, from what I can find, the hospital that Sergeant Gibson was transported to was Riverside Regional Medical Center in Newport News, which was about a half hour away, and was the closest trauma center to the Brick House Tavern. Now, as for Officer Rusk, following that shooting, he was taken into custody by the Williamsburg police and also transported to the local hospital. Now, apparently, once Officer Rusk got to the hospital, he told hospital staff that he was in fact assaulted. However, hospital staff failed to perform assault assessment, which they should have done based on Officer Rusk's allegations, which included kit. And this is the basis of one of Michael Rusk's lawsuits that he currently has.
Wait. So, wait. I know he said he wouldn't stop. He was sorry, but like, why would you need a grape kit on somebody if there was no actual? I understand. I know. He described an attempt, but I didn't hear him talk about there was an actual. So what would be the purpose of that? I'm not trying to be funny. Nothing. Like, I really genuinely want to know.
In court, Officer Rusk is suing that hospital for not performing the proper evaluation. Now, after being cleared by hospital staff, Officer Rusk was transported to the local jail by the Williamsburg police, where he would go on to be charged with 3
malicious
felonies,
wounding,
which included aggravated malicious wounding and use of a firearm. And those criminal charges had Officer Rusk facing over 20 years in prison. Officer Michael Rusk would then spend the next 23 days in jail before being released on bond. He was then immediately placed on unpaid leave by the James City County Police Department. Now, right away, since 2 police officers were involved, the narrative being spewed to the public was completely incorrect.
Attorneys for Michael Rusk say when they release video and audio recordings from the scene of the shooting, the public will see a different side of the story.
I can assure everyone there's a lot more information that's going to come forward based on that incident. Also understand that what precipitated this incident, there's a lot more backstory that we're going to be able to provide everyone very soon.
Prosecutors say the 2 were together and drinking for more than 4 hours. They say the 2 went outside and sat in a car for 45 minutes, and when they got out, Rusk shot Gibson 3 times.
Investigators were trying to say this was just 2 police officers who were out for a night drinking, got into a fight, and Officer Rusk took it too far. But obviously that wasn't true. The local police were trying to just sweep this under the rug, and over time, what really happened slowly started making it into the news. Because local news agencies started digging and filing FOIA requests. They also began talking to Officer Michael Rusk's family members, and this is when the truth started coming out. Now, I want you to listen to what Officer Rusk's father had to say.
I told him to give this guy a chance. Give him a minute. Try to see try to understand where he's coming from before you rush to judgment, because we're talking about somebody's career.
Now, during this investigation into the shooting, a bombshell came out. Just weeks before the shooting, Officer Michael Rusk went to Sergeant Gibson's superior and reported the harassment that he had been receiving over the last year at the hands of Sergeant Gibson. And I'll let you take one guess what Sergeant Gibson's superior officers did. As a matter of fact, I want you to leave in the comments what you think they did after Officer Rusk reported Sergeant Gibson to his supervisors.
They pointed a finger at him and said, no.
If your guess was absolutely nothing, you would be correct. As a matter of fact, they would go on to blame Officer Rusk for what happened, stating that he went to the supervisors. However, they said that Officer Rusk stated he was going to handle it on his own. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. It took Officer Rusk over a year to finally report Sergeant Gibson to his supervisor, which they freely admit that he did in fact report him. But why would Officer Rusk report his supervisor but then also say at the same time that he was going to handle it on his own? That is not his responsibility. It doesn't make any sense. I think Officer Rusk knew he was rolling the dice by reporting his sergeant, and there was very little chance that anything was going to be done. As a matter of fact, he probably thought there was going to be a target painted on his back. So for them to later come out and say that Officer Rusk reported his supervisor, but then said it in the same token that he was going to handle it on his own, I think is pure bullshit. They're just covering their own asses at this point. And notice, when the investigators go and talk to Sergeant Gibson's supervisor, the supervisor that Officer Rusk went to report Sergeant Gibson, he immediately goes and grabs his supervisor before he talks to that investigator.
Talking with Michael, He brought up a couple things with Gibson that he said he'd mentioned to you before. Does that ring any bells?
You look like a liar.
Investigators met JCC police at the hospital. According to the lawsuit, Rusk says he previously went to police management multiple times about Gibson's behavior, including stalking, grooming, and petting. Police body camera video shows an officer walking away to get his superior before answering.
So it was.
What the hell is petting? She said, and stalking, grooming, and petting. Are you kidding me? What?
My attention, so Rusk pulled me aside and talked to me in my office and everything regarding Chris just kind of acting unusual toward him, being a little bit more favoring him, just being like always around.
Why does Lieutenant Gregory White need his supervisor holding his hand while answering the investigator's questions? What does he have to hide that he needs his supervisor standing right next to him to talk to the investigator? If you ask me, in my opinion, I think they felt like they needed to get their story straight right off the bat because they knew this was absolutely going to make it to the news. Now, fast forward to May 16th, 2024, and Officer Michael Rusk was fired from the James City County Police Department. But it wasn't for the shooting. Watch.
JCC police terminated Rusk. A JCC administrator recommended the termination, saying Rusk exchanged sexual and racially derogatory messages using county-owned phones, among other accusations.
Their main reason for firing Officer Rusk was for allegedly exchanging inappropriate messages with other officers at the department. Really? Inappropriate messages? The fact that they fired Officer Michael Rusk for alleged inappropriate messages after the wildly inappropriate behavior he was subject to at the hands of his sergeant for over the last year just goes to show you the mentality and environment inside the James City County Police Department. You
know how insulting that is to have to deal with that type of, like, just imagine you have to deal with this day in and day out, this man, you a whole man, and you got to deal with a whole nother grown man, like just making these sexual advances on you, by patting you in the butt, just sexual jokes, just a constant bombardment of just sexual innuendo. It's like, damn. And then the same people who you complain to him about turn around and fire you for inappropriate text messages. Yo, you know how that is. How did your representative, like, I thought your union was supposed to be better than this and stronger than this. Like, how does this even happen, brother?
Blowing. Officer Rusk's termination will go on to be upheld by the city administrator later on in 2024. Now, let's go back to Sergeant Gibson for a minute. He would go on to fully recover from his injuries while on paid medical leave and almost made it back to full duty on the police department. But then this happened.
And we've learned that Sergeant Christopher Gibson was put on paid administrative leave following the story we aired last month. Now, you'll remember that story shared a side of the investigation the public had yet to hear, that Officer Rusk allegedly shot Gibson after a year of fighting off unwanted advances from him. Sergeant Gibson remains on paid administrative leave.
Some of those FOIA requests at the local news organizations started making it out and into the local news coverage, and this left James City County Police Department with no choice but to put Sergeant Gibson on paid administrative leave while pending an internal investigation into his behavior. And then I think we all know what happens next. Instead of facing that internal investigation, Sergeant Christopher Gibson retires from the James City County Police Department. That doesn't look suspicious at all. Now back to Officer Rusk. Well, Michael Rusk now, since he's terminated from the police department. On June 25th, 2024, Michael Rusk would file a federal lawsuit. 2 lawsuits. One against James City County for $5.5 million, claiming a hostile work environment, gender bias, and wrongful termination. He's also going after another $300,000 in punitive damages in the lawsuit against James City County. Now, Michael Rusk's second lawsuit is against the hospital that he was transported to after the shooting, Riverside Regional Medical Center. And from what I can find, that lawsuit is for approximately $13 million. It was for failing to perform a complete assault evaluation, which included a kit. He's also suing the hospital for lack of mental health care. Apparently, Michael Rusk was discharged from the hospital less than 2 hours after arriving, and he claims they never performed a mental health evaluation, despite the fact of having a high self-harm risk. Now, back to Michael Rusk's criminal charges in the case against him. Over the following year, from 2024 into 2025, his case continued to get delayed. Now, unfortunately for Michael Rusk, that same year in 2024, he would be decertified as a police officer, and that criminal case against him would continue to get postponed over the next year. But that was until last week, and here we are finally at the update in the case. Let's watch.
Michael Rusk entered a plea agreement this week where he avoided jail time but can never wear a badge again.
He took the plea because his wife and baby on the way could have been left without a husband and father for several years. The criminal case for Rusk is now over, but he's suing James City County, the police department, and Riverside Hospital.
On the night before his scheduled criminal trial was due to take place, he reached a plea agreement with the prosecutor. Now, I want to make this clear. Michael Rusk did not plead guilty to the reduced charge of unlawful wounding. The judge in this case would go on to find Michael Rusk guilty to the reduced charge of unlawful wounding and sentence him to 3 years in prison. However, that 3-year prison sentence was suspended, meaning Michael Rusk doesn't have to spend a day in jail as long as he stays out of trouble. Rusk also received 3 years of unsupervised probation. Michael would go on to state he only accepted this deal because he has a child on the way and he doesn't want to risk spending any time behind bars where he would be unable to support his family, which in my opinion, I think he made the right choice. Because the other thing this plea agreement does is allow his federal lawsuit to continue. Because remember, Michael Rusk did not plead guilty to the charges, rather the judge found him guilty of the charges. Two very different things. And the last update I can find in Michael Rusk's civil lawsuits, the one against James City County is currently under negotiations. In February of 2025, both parties met and were unable to come to an agreement. However, they did stipulate that both parties were still under negotiations. As for the lawsuit against Riverside Regional Medical Center, the only thing I can find is that lawsuit, in fact, is still moving forward.
Yo, man. Shouts out to the good police out there. So like the blue wall, I heard that blue wall, but I was like, damn, I didn't know that blue wall protect, you know what I'm saying, like grapers and shit like that. Just because you wear a badge, but you out here just like this can't be the only person that he's done this to. But like I said earlier in the video, this is not a situation most men are gonna come forward and speak about. So, but this does happen. From what my understanding, my time in the military, you know, so we were briefed on things like this. Like things like this do happen a lot more than what people think they do to men. But like I said, most men just want to move on with themselves, move on with their life, which is understandable. That's not something easy that most men can live with, and they damn sure never want to talk about it again. So I completely understand it. But anyway, when it come to this situation, yo, so what do you think? What do you guys think, man? Did he deserve? Like, do you guys think that he deserved what he got? Like, you know what I'm saying, this sergeant that was just constantly just actually. Just, harassing this dude, man. Like, you seen the video, he's trying to grab on him, like, like a woman and everything. You see the dude clearly with the finger, like, you know what I'm saying? When that finger, that white woman finger come out, they serious, you know what I'm saying? Like, they real rap, they serious about, like, you know what I mean? When that, they dead serious, they not playing. What do you think about the Officer Rusk? Do you think that Officer Rusk got a fair shake? Do you think he got a fair deal? You know what I'm saying? Like, should he have even been charged? That's it for this video. J King the One. See you guys on the next round of Crazy. One.